everybody, my name is Griego. I'm going to give you an informative speech on the Legend of Zelda timeline. I'm here to inform you about the history surrounding the Legend of Zelda and to give an in-depth explanation on the Legend of Zelda, the proper timeline of the games, and some character history. So, in the last 28 years, the most famous video games of all have sprawled into long-lasting franchises. The Legend of Zelda is no exception to that. In fact, it has become one of the most popular games in history. Despite the fact that an established timeline for the game's release has not been shown. And that's what I'm going to tell you guys today. It's not switching slides.
Did you start the timer?
No, I did not.
Okay,
So the timeline. But before I go in depth with the timeline, let me give you a brief explanation of some things. So the Legend of Zelda games are set in a realm or a place called Hyrule, which is primarily the kingdom that they reside in. And the main focus point on all of the Legend of Zelda is the Holy Triforce. And the Triforce stands for three forces: power, wisdom, courage, and that will be the groundwork and a frame for the rest of the games. Let me go into the characters. There's Princess Zelda. She is the damsel in distress in most of the games. And then accompanying her and always saving her from evil is Link the hero. And the evil that he saves her from is Ganondorf. He is the main antagonist in most of the games. And he also has an evil demon form. If he's not evil enough, is Ganon. And we will see him in some games. There's also the Skull Kid, who is the main antagonist in Majora's Mask. He is possessed by an evil mask that he steals and wreaks havoc on a different dimension called Termina. Then there's Baki, who is an evil wind mage that we'll see in some of the games as well. So let's start with the Legend of Zelda games and the order they were released in. The first game, the original Legend of Zelda, released in 1986, has a Star Wars-like beginning where it tells you you are the hero Link and you have to save the Princess Zelda from Ganondorf, who's trying to obtain the Triforce, because whoever wields the three pieces of the Triforce at once gets wishes of their will. Like I said, that'll be the groundwork for most of these games. Next, in 1987, Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link was released. So you're set in this game, you're set in the future. You have to awaken a Princess Zelda with the pieces of the Triforce while evading Ganon's evil minions trying to get your blood to awaken their Demon King. Next, in 1991 was The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. This game was the first game that gave an in-depth look, kind of, into the creation of Hyrule, the creation of the Master Sword, and the origins of Ganon. So after 10 years in the game time, that's when Link's Awakening comes. In Link's Awakening, Link goes off to hone his skills, and on his return to his journey, he gets shipwrecked on an island called Copeland Island, where he has to save the inhabitants, and then they send him off in a boat at the end. And that boat is going to be a reference later to other games, showing that they actually tie into one another. After that is Ocarina of Time, and this is where it gets kind of complex. So in Ocarina of Time, you have to travel back and forth through time to save Hyrule from Ganon and save Princess Zelda as well. And the battles that are shown in the Ocarina of Time are reference to Link to the Past that they showed at the beginning of the game. The way it ends really makes this whole thing complex, because any of you who know anything or try to know anything about time travel know that it's really crappy. So at the end of the game, Zelda sends Link back in time, which makes a Child Link timeline. And then there's another timeline that stays with Zelda in the future where Link is gone. And then there's the not likely but possible story of Link dying. So that's where, let's start with Child Link. And that's what leads us to Majora's Mask. It's more of a side story to show that events of Ocarina of Time didn't happen. So it sends you back in time when you're a kid, and you go into a different dimension where you have to stop the Skull Kid from destroying that place. After that is Oracle of Seasons, where there's the ship reference, showing that there's a real timeline to follow. And then there's Four Swords, and after that is Wind Waker. Wind Waker, after it follows Zelda after she sends Link back in time. But there's a civil war that happens, and Ganon returns, which causes havoc, and the gods flood out Hyrule. Following that one is Four Swords Adventures. There's multiple references to Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past in that one. And after that is Minish Cap, which is a prequel to Four Swords. And then there's Twilight Princess, where you're a new Link and a new Zelda trying to defeat Ganondorf again in the Twilight Realm. And then there's Phantom Hourglass, which Phantom Hourglass is the second one following Wind Waker. So those two are linked together. and after that is Spirit Tracks, which follows that one. So that was the first time any games had actually followed one another. After that marks the 25th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, which is Skyward Sword, released in 2011. The Hyrule Historia said that the Skyward Sword is the original start of The Legend of Zelda, and if you played the game, you would know that it explains all of it. It has the origins of Hyrule, how Link forges the Master Sword, the great goddess Hylia reincarnated herself into a human to save the world, and then accompanies her with the hero, which is Link, and makes the Triforce to help them stop the reincarnating evil to save her. And then the newest release happened last year, which is A Link Between Worlds, which happens after Ocarina of Time, where Link has to travel back and forth from the Dark Realm that Ganon created. Alright, so here's the timeline that we're going to fill in real quick. As you can see, there's 3 different timelines that I had mentioned earlier. Let's start with the first games. Skyward Sword, like I said, it's the original start to the game. After that, the Minish Cap, followed by 4 swords. And then here's Ocarina of Time, where stuff gets complicated. There's Zelda sending Link back in time. We'll start with the deceased hero timeline, following the events that he dies. There's Link to the Past, an Oracle of Ages, an Oracle of Seasons, Link's Awakening, Link Between Worlds, the original Legend of Zelda, and the second Adventures of Link. Let's go to the Child Link timeline, where we have Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and 4 Sword Adventures. Now we're going to go to the Adult Link timeline following the events after Link is sent back in time. And that's Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. So here's the final timeline where it all breaks off. It caused confusion for a bunch of fans because they didn't know a for sure timeline that was established. The Legend of Zelda is rich in history. It's been a part of millions, if not billions, of lives in the past 28 years. It hasn't been until recently that an actual timeline has been established. So hopefully now, having listened and learned, you can all distinguish the timeline. And willing, if you decide to pick a controller and become a part of the legend. So I got my information from the Hyrule Historia 25-year anniversary. I also got it from Game Informer magazine and interviews with the creators of Legend of Zelda. Thank you.